Pro Group Management. Workers' comp that works for you.
Welcome to Nevada Newsmakers. Sam returns tomorrow, but through the magic of videotape, we bring you some interesting interviews. First, we talk to Arthur Silber Jr., who's done a biography on Sammy Davis Jr., and we also talk to Howard Rosenberg, reprising his role as media critic. And then Sam talks to Bruce James. Now, you may remember that at one time he ran for the U.S. Senate. Now he is the federal government's printer. And is he going to run for governor in the year 2006? And on the pundit panel, Bob Crowell, John Gwaltney, and Paul Enos. And boy, do we talk about education. It's all coming up next on the new Nevada Newsmakers.
Nevada Newsmakers, brought to you in part by Charter Communication.
The Abowed family has an appetite for dialogue. Agree or disagree, have the conversation. All opinions are welcome. Since 1977, Adele's.
Catch a straight, dine at 8. Lucky you. Lucky you. Dance till 1. Have some fun. Lucky you. Lucky you. Taste the shrimp. Have a sip. Try the pool. Play it cool. At the Sienna Hotel Spa Casino. Lucky you.
In business, the key to success is not the quantity of your clients, it's the quality of your clients. Almost all companies will tell you they want more sales, but what they really need are quality customers who pay their bills on time. With Employer Link's client vendor screening program, we provide comprehensive reports regarding the financial performance of your corporate prospects, customers, and vendors. Build your business with great clients and vendors. Call Employer Links today at 883-3733.
If you own a business and want to maximize your company's potential, join the Retail Association of Nevada. Our membership benefits include the Nevada Retail Network Self-Insured Group, providing workers' compensation coverage that can lower your rates. That savings can go directly to your bottom line. We are an effective pro-business organization that lobbies on behalf of our business members. The Retail Association of Nevada, protecting Nevada businesses for 35 years. Call 882-1700 to see what we can do for your organization.
Is Nevada Newsmakers with Sam Shad, political analyst Ande Engleman on No Holds Barred Political Forum. Now, from the News 4 Broadcast Center, here's Sam Shad.
We don't usually do entertainment on Nevada Newsmakers, but today's issue is a little different. There's a new book out called Sammy Davis Jr., Me and My Shadow, and it's written by Arthur Silber Jr., who joins us, and also Howard Rosenberg, who was an entertainment critic for many years here on TV, and was a good friend of Sammy Davis Jr.'s. Let's start out with you, Arthur. Sammy Davis Jr. was really a seminal figure in American entertainment. He really changed the face of entertainment, especially in the Silver State. How did he do that?
Perseverance. Quick answer?
Yes. Nice TV soundbite.
Sammy's main drive was to be equal. A lot of people, all the stories about, he wanted to chase white women and all, he wanted to be white and all that's a bunch of baloney. I lived with the man. I grew up with the man since I was 16 years old. And my father was his manager. And we were best friends, buddies, and I worked with him for 22 and a half years, so almost 23. So I know him inside out and backwards, from the early part of his life. When the drugs and all the rest of the stuff came in, I was not there.
Okay,
not that we didn't remain friends. We were friends.
But he was faced with a color barrier, wasn't he?
That's the one. That's what this book is really. I'm trying to explain to people what Sammy was really like and what he really wanted and how he did break the color barrier for all black performers, especially in the nightclub field, because that time nightclub business was the only business that was. This was a school that everybody went through. There were no comedy clubs then.
Howard, explain for the audience who may not know this what it was like to be a black entertainer in Nevada during the time period of the 50s?
You couldn't walk in the front door of the place that you were playing. You couldn't stay at the place you were playing. You stayed on the other side of town. You stayed in boarding houses. You stayed in small motels and hotels. Most of the black entertainers simply accepted it for what it was. Sam never did. Sam never accepted anything for what it was. Sam was all about, well, if they've always done it this way, let's try a new way and see if it won't work. Sam was an artist in the true sense of the word. He loved to play with possibilities, and he could do it for days. He taught me how to do an interview. He was shocked when I got up after an interview and said, "Where are the re-asks?" And I said, if I knew what they were, I would tell you. He said, "You sit down." And in an hour, he taught me how to do an interview. And I became a professional. And he would check me frequently to make sure I was doing it right.
Arthur, was there a difference between the onstage Sammy Davis Jr. and the offstage Sammy Davis Jr.?
From my viewpoint, yes. From everybody else's viewpoint, not very much, because he had the facade, you know, but when he wanted to let down his hair and all of that, that came to me. When he wanted to cry, that came to me, because I'm the only person he would allow in that deep, because of the friendship and both being very young when we started.
Howard, what made him mad?
Injustice. Being misquoted.
Good answer.
Being told that he couldn't do something that he wanted to do. Seeing people that he loved hurting. Sam was the most generous individual in the world, not with money alone, and I'm sure he was generous with money, but with his time. When Sam was coming into town, you knew that you would get a phone call, and the party, usually at the end, when he would invite all the dancers from all the shows in town to come and just hang out with him for a couple of hours, and it was such fun. Tap, the movie, came out. He took over the Century Complex, invited the world to come and see his movie, and it was dynamite. We had more fun. There was a situation there that was marvelous. He wore a black leather jacket, and he couldn't get the zipper down. So he screamed, "Howard!" Because I was an old kindergarten teacher. I know how to do these things. I got the zipper halfway down. I said, "I don't know what to do now." He just went like this and shrugged it off his shoulders and stepped out of it. He said, "Thank you so much." And that was the end of that. That was Sam.
Arthur, were you with Sam at the time he met my Brit?
Oh, yes.
And they ultimately married.
Oh, yes.
And that was an interracial marriage. Was it against the law at that time?
Well,
In
some
some
people's
states?
laws, not against the law for them. And Mai is quite a story. That book is the only book, and you see on the back of it, that has written about Sammy Davis Jr. that Mai has ever endorsed. The only book. Because I was there from the beginning. And next to my wife, I class her as probably the classiest woman I've ever met. She raised 3 black children up at Tahoe, all by herself. And the reason she divorced, because Sammy was never home, which I'm sure you know that. And Sammy wasn't a father type. He just never would be, never could be. But she raised those children, and today she lives very close to me where I live now, because she spent most of her time living at the lake. But she lives with me. We talk occasionally. She's still a very classy woman, very classy.
I just want to say that that Sammy Davis's wife is in the process of putting on a Broadway show that is being cast in New York, Chicago, and L.A., which surprised me that they're not casting it in Las Vegas as well, where some of the greatest Sammy Davis impersonators are. There's also, this is one of several books that have just come out, but according to my source, which would be Professor Rosenberg, this is the best book, Sammy Davis Jr., Me and My Shadow, a biographical memoir by Arthur Silber Jr. Thank you so much for being here and sharing your thoughts.
Thank you very much for having me.
We'll be back on Nevada Newsmakers after this.
Atlantis is cooking up a party. It's every diner's paradise. Toucan Charlie's Buffet and Grill, voted Reno's best buffet by locals year after year. Experience the Mongolian barbecue, new Asian station, and sumptuous exhibition stations filled with fresh entrees, salads, and desserts. Try the Friday night seafood buffet and Sunday champagne brunch.
Would
Would you like to savor a Trento pork chop? Or maybe pasta rags with grilled chicken? Hugo's Tuscan Grill at D'Andrea is a celebration of color, flavor, and freshness. Each dish is created from natural, wholesome foods that is delicious and nutritious. Hugo's is a comfortable restaurant with breathtaking city views. If you enjoy great food and good company, visit us here at Hugo's. It's the best that dining can be. 2900 South D'Andrea Parkway in Sparks.
Allegra is Northern Nevada's #1 offset printing and digital copying facility.
From disc to destination, Allegra utilizes tomorrow's technology today. We specialize in booklets, catalogs, manuals, newsletters, stationery, and envelopes.
Xerox, Docutech, 4-color printing with Heidelberg Speedmaster, desktop publishing and design, graphic services, pickup and delivery.
If you need printing, Allegra can do it. From disc to destination.
To experience the royal cuisine of India, you need some serious magic or simply transport yourself to India Garden, right here in Reno, where you'll discover Indian specialties refined over centuries. Sikh kebab, tandoori dishes cooked in our own tandoor oven, biryani specialties, curries, fresh-baked Indian bread, over a dozen vegetarian dishes, even dishes rare to India like dosa, South Indian-style crepes. India Garden off South Virginia near Sports West. We are India.
And now, back to Nevada Newsmakers with Sam Shad and Ande Engleman.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers, we're joined by Bruce James, who is the 24th public printer of the United States, a job once held by Benjamin Franklin and a Nevadan. It's good to have you back here in the state.
Welcome, Sam.
Welcome to the program. You took on a huge job. Explain to the public very briefly exactly what the public printer of the United States does.
Isn't that a wonderful title,
It
Public
is.
Printer of the United States? Well, it's a historic title. It goes back to the beginning of the democracy when Congress decided that they did not want the federal government to be able to hide any information, that all documents, they wanted up on top of the table, and they wanted them distributed widely throughout the country and available to all people to take a look at. And so out of that beginning grew the government printing office. And by law, any money spent for printing, any appropriated money spent for printing by any of the three branches has to come through the government printing office, which I head. Now, in the old days, it was all printing. Of course, today, most of the government documents are done digitally, and last month, 66% of all the documents were digital. We didn't print them.
Okay, you came from the private sector. This was your business. You were very successful at it. What's it like going into a government situation? Did you find people working in a whole different way, and what did you have to do to change the bureaucracy if you did?
Well, there were a couple of technical issues that needed to be addressed that were interesting enough to get me out of retirement. And as information moves to digital form instead of printed, you have the necessity to be able to authenticate government information being downloaded on the internet. And of course, the issues of preserving digital information, we all know what happened to 8-track tapes.
Right.
And so we have to be in a position to preserve
Howard Rosenberg still has some, but that's
yeah, you told me about it earlier. So this is what brought me to Washington, was to work on these very interesting issues that really will affect how the government creates information, how it distributes information, and how it preserves information in the future. And I thought, coming from the West, I had my own impressions of what people in Washington, what the employees would be like. And frankly, I was very surprised. This is the best workforce I've ever had. It has more breadth, more depth to it, and it has a factor that is unlike anything the private sector has, and that is that most of my employees come to work every day as public servants. And it engenders a tremendous loyalty to the organization and a loyalty to purpose.
Okay, but was the organization efficient?
I think there's little that you can
Let's
point
to.
to.
Let's not be diplomatic here.
I think there's
get it out
little
of the
that you
table,
can point to in the federal government that's efficient.
Okay, so what are you doing to try and make it so?
Well, I have brought a number of changes to the government printing office since I've been there. First of all, I reorganized the management of it. The 12 people that run the GPO today, 6 of them came from the outside. I put in the positions, and the 6 that were there, only 2 have the same jobs they did when I walked in the door. So we've reorganized the place at the top. We've reorganized the entire business structure. We've changed the way we look at our finances, the way we spend money, the way we spend capital. We've changed a number of those things. Most importantly, I think we've come to a realization that we have to let the past go. And all those printing presses, all the great facilities we had to provide printing, which are no longer needed and won't be needed in the future, just releasing that, letting go of that, and moving on to the future has been the big thing.
Okay, Andy's not here today. She's got some time off, so she asked me to ask you a question here, that she's concerned that with the government in such a deficit, is this a time to start building a new building? And are you selling off the historic old building? And this is in Washington, D.C., of course.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting. The Washington Post had a cover story this morning about our interest in taking the old facility we have, which is a very prominent building in Washington. It's one of the largest buildings in the metropolitan Washington area. It would cover 24 city blocks if it was laid out on one level. It sits 5 blocks from the Capitol, 1 block from the train station. Very valuable piece of real estate. Makes no sense to manufacture 5 blocks from the Capitol in the middle of an urban area. And what we think is this real estate is so valuable that we can leverage that into a new building and new equipment and new facilities for the government printing office with no cost to the taxpayers. And that's what we're after.
Okay, well, that would be awesome. Okay, I want to ask you a political question here. We've got about a minute and a half here to go. As I look at the situation right now with the Bush administration has become this no tax and spend government, the conservative side of the Republican Party, it seems like there's a chasm forming. Are you feeling that? Are you sensing that?
Absolutely, in Washington. I think that the real true conservatives are becoming increasingly alarmed at the level of federal spending. I think it's one thing to pay for the war on terrorism, and I think every citizen's prepared to do that. But, this omnibus bill that was just passed had thousands of earmarks in it that had nothing to do with the running of the government. They were just special purpose projects. And we're piling billions of dollars on the debt. And I think people are becoming genuinely concerned about it. You hear it everywhere.
Do you think that there's enough to see some kind of breakaway in the Conservative Party before the election, or do you think it's going to happen after the election?
No, I think the president will lead the party in this regard, and I think he'll pull the party together and lead it. Bush certainly is not a spend person. A lot of what's
he sure is acting like it.
Well, this has been going on in Congress, and the question is, will he get tough with Congress about spending? And I think the answer is he probably will. And I look for him to lead the party to a success in November.
Well, I'm certainly looking forward to it. Bruce James, a real pleasure to have you back here.
Always nice to see you.
Continued success in Washington. We'll be back on Nevada Newsmakers after this.
Before you head to Carson, take care of yourself with a visit to Tamarack Junction. Catch a hot cup of coffee and the morning news on one of our 32 TVs and enjoy the best food in South Reno. Tamarack Junction, your junction for fun. South Virginia and Amati Ranch Parkway.
The Abowd family has an appetite for dialogue. Agree or disagree, have the conversation. All opinions are welcome. Since 1977, Adele's.
Your home is an expression of all things comforting and familiar. For custom storage, you can count on California Closets to provide quality, value, and design integrity. The process is easy, combining your personal style with our organizing expertise. We care about what matters most to you, making your home functional and beautiful. California Closets, simplifying home and life since 1978. Call today for your complimentary design consultation.
When you sign up for Wells Fargo free checking, you get more than free checking. You get the freedom to bank when and where you want. Wells Fargo, the next stage.
Make your daily commute easy with breakfast or lunch at the Tamarack Junction. Enjoy daily specials, super fast service, and South Reno's freshest morning meals. Tamarack Junction, your junction for fun. South Virginia and Amati Ranch Parkway.
And now, back to Nevada Newsmakers with Ande Engleman.
before I introduce the pundit panel, I want to send our sympathies to Senator Bill Raggio, whose son died last Thursday. Our hearts are with you. On today's pundit panel, we have John Gwaltney,
Hi.
Paul Enos,
Good morning.
and Bob Crowell.
Good morning.
Okay, Bob, I'm going to start off with you. You sit on the school board in Carson City.
I do.
And there have been some problems as far as coming up with some sort of salary figure for the Teachers Association there.
There's been a fair amount of frustration in Carson City over the inability of Carson City to find dollars to fund teacher salary or any employee salary increases in Carson City. And I got to tell you, to a large degree, I share that frustration. You know, they went through this hard session last time to gain money, but when you look at how that money came down to Carson City, we just don't have the ability to do it. And you know, I think that Carson City is in a position, at least from my own advocacy standpoint, I'd like to see, we have some tough choices to make in Carson if we're going to find room to do salary increases. And my encouragement to the unions and to the bargaining units is to work with the school board to help us see what those choices are and to make those choices. And hopefully the budget process is an open process, and I know right now we're going through several meetings open meetings with the public and with the bargaining units to explain at least how we think that the money's coming in and where it goes and what's available. And you know, and there's some frustration I see in the paper, you know, that they're concerned that the negotiations aren't going well. You know, from my own standpoint, if there is a problem with the negotiations, my sense is I think we ought to open a dialogue to say, let's open the negotiations up to the public. And
at one time they used to be, because I remember that my late husband Lee Adler used to cover those in the 70s and in the early 80s, covered those meetings. They're deadly boring, he said.
Well, first of all, I'd like to say that Bob and I have been visiting on this subject of where is the money? You know, show me the beef in this situation. The sadness that I think we've shared on a number of occasions is that at the end of the session there was much discussion of $830 million. I've said for a substantial period of time it's not there, and it's not going to go to these people. It went somewhere else. And unfortunately, you guys got caught with a rising level of expectation and a delivery mechanism that didn't meet that rising level of expectation.
You're absolutely correct.
Now it's going to go to arbitration. Does that leave vulnerable the money that's set aside for books and supplies? Does that then go to teachers' salaries if you go to arbitration?
Technically it doesn't. I mean, the arbitrator won't tell you where the money comes from. I mean, if it goes to arbitration, the arbitrator says you got to come up with X percentage. You have to come up with X percentage. Where it comes from is the local decision. So the arbitrator can't tell you take it out of books or take it out of here.
Mm-hmm.
They'll just say this is where it should come. This is what you owe.
Paul, as a taxpayer and a businessman, how do you feel about these kinds of things?
Well, I agree with Bob. I think the negotiation should be out there and should be opened up to the public, because it is the public's tax dollar that's going to fund things like education, and the school board has to make a decision how much money they're going to spend in certain areas, and definitely should be open to the public.
What about having the state school board? What if you took this responsibility away from the local school board and gave it to the state school board, as some states do?
I think you'd create a huge, well, it'd be a very, very complex issue to solve, because right now how schools are funded is through the local school support tax, LSST, which is part of the sales tax, and it's apportioned by county. So I don't think that you want to really put that at a state level, deciding the people on the state school board deciding what a teacher in Elko or Winnemucca is going to make.
Yeah, but right now what the teachers are telling the school board in Carson City is, hey, they're making this amount in Washoe, they're making this amount in Las Vegas, we ought to make this amount too.
Well, certainly some economies of scale play into this part and allow some districts to pay more money than others. Is this fair? I don't know whether it's fair. Obviously, the question is very difficult on the issue of fair. But I agree that the state school board is not the appropriate place to resolve this.
Said he, sitting on the state school board.
Well, and the other thing is that, you know, one of my major criticisms of the No Child Left Behind Act is it takes away local control. And you know, if you're going to push everything to the federal government or to the state government, you might as well just get rid of the school board and elect a superintendent and let it go on. I mean, you know, there's not much left. And I will tell you that from what local control means is that some of the dollars we spend locally are not just for salary increases, but for additional aides in the classroom, which that's our decision to make. At least I think it's our decision to make, where we think that, because the focus should be on what do we think as Carson City people, or as any school board member, what do we think is necessary for the education of our kids? And that's the focus. And if we believe that more aides in the classroom does it, we ought to have that flexibility.
Okay, and let me say that Terry Hickman from the Teachers Association was supposed to be here this morning, and they called a last-minute meeting, and he couldn't make it. So we did want to hear from the teachers, and I'm sorry they're not here. But I remember Ann O'Connell brought the bill like this back in '91, I believe it was, and at the time, all of the unions went berserk because they did not want to open up these negotiations. Why don't they?
I don't know what the answer to that is, and I'm not certainly trying to create any particular problem. I just think that my own sense is that I share the frustration of what's going on, and actually, what I'm pleading for is some help in making these choices, because I think that, there's no way you can hide dollars in the school district. I mean, money comes in. You know what money comes in. You know what programs cost, and therefore, it's not rocket science.
Although some of it seems to disappear on occasion. That's it. We're out of time. We'll be right back.
It's America's largest historical district, and it's fun for the entire family. Virginia City is where the West comes alive every day, from train rides to gunslingers. Your gang can explore mines and interesting museums, visit historic saloons, and do some great shopping. Virginia City is the ultimate in family entertainment, and it's very affordable. Come up and stay overnight in our hotels, motels, and RV park. Virginia City, the Wild West at its best.
I tell you, John, this industry has really changed.
Tell me about it.
You seemed to do pretty well last year. What's your secret?
No secrets. Although I'll tell you something. The smartest thing I did was sign up with Pro Group Management.
Really? Yeah, they do workers' comp, right?
Yeah, their services are great. And get this, they saved me 30%. I've heard they saved others 50%.
That works for me.
Pro Group Management. Finally, workers' comp that works for you.
Atlantis is cooking up a party. It's every diner's paradise. Toucan Charlie's Buffet and Grill, voted Reno's best buffet by locals year after year. Experience the Mongolian barbecue, new Asian station, and sumptuous exhibition stations filled with fresh entrees, salads, and desserts. Try the Friday night seafood buffet and Sunday champagne brunch. Atlantis!
When you sign up for Wells Fargo free checking, you get more than free checking. You get the freedom to bank when and where you want. Wells Fargo, the next stage.
Nevada Newsmakers, brought to you in part by Charter Communication.
Remember Story County said Washoe County has some of its sales tax money? Well, tomorrow we hear from Washoe County, and they say they don't have it. And then we talk to Robin Mercer. She's running for office in Dawn Gibbons' old seat. And Sam's back with us. Remember, you can see reruns of the show at 9:30 at night on Charter Cable 12 in Carson, Washoe, and Douglas County. Thank you for watching.